Hey everybody, happy Monday to you today. Welcome back to another episode of Fireside Bricky. I hope that so far your weekend has gone pretty well. You've got yourself a little bit of food or something to chill here. In the background, you've got more Destiny because it has control of my life. I do a little bit of jumping around the tower, and then I do some Battlegrounds for the Cabal stuff in Season of the Chosen. I also die a ton, so I apologize about that because I am a blueberry at heart. I'm sorry, I'm stretching my legs because I've been sitting for a bit when recording this. I've been up since 6:45 in the AM today. Last weekend's been going not too bad for me. I actually got a couple of days to relax, which I was really happy to have. Past that, there was also just a couple of, little things here and there that I was able to do. I was very much glad that I was able to play some more Outer Wilds, grind some more Destiny. I actually brought a game to my parents' house, and my mom said the words I always wanted to hear, which is, "Hey, turn me into a pizza." That's a reference to another video. Ignore that. She said the words I always wanted to hear, which is, good old, "Hey, I want to try out some video games. What are some video games you'd like me to try out?" And so I ended up giving her some games. I was talking up Outer Wilds a whole lot, and so she wanted to play that game. So she did. Can't confirm. Did not go great. She has a bit of a hard time getting the controls down. So I think she was constantly assuming that she's going to be using a, what's it called? Like inverted controls when it comes to the looking around thing. And she often does this thing where I was looking at her hands when she was playing. She would move around with the left stick, but when she wasn't using the right stick, her thumb would just be straight up off the right stick somewhere else on the controller. I'm like, oh, no wonder like the vision is so juddery. You gotta have the thumb always on the right stick, because this is the controller, of course, and then always on the left stick, and then you can move the thumb to A, B, etc. whenever you want to stop looking. So, long story short, it's just a little bit of the mechanics. I've had 26 years to literally know how to play video games and use a controller, so obviously I'm a little bit different, and it just is going to take some time. But we tried some Outer Wilds for a bit, because she wanted to play it, and, well, let's just say that zero-G flying wasn't very easy even for me, and that was rough to deal with. So we actually swapped to a different game, and we swapped to What Remains of Edith Finch. If you've ever seen that game, it is pretty fantastic. I'd actually maybe call it a 10 out of 10 game, but it's one of those 10 out of 10 games where it might be nearly a perfect game, but it is not a game I would replay a whole lot, or even recommend to everybody. It's maybe a little bit niche. It's like a walking simulator especially. But they played that, and they liked that a lot more. They had a lot more fun with What Remains of Edith Finch, which is great. There's still more to play, but we'll get to that perhaps a different day. But it was very nice to be able to do that, kind of relax a little bit, hang around, chill, and overall just enjoy myself with some time with the family. So I was happy to have that. I was happy to see that. Other than that, over the weekend, not much else really happened. I'm currently in, like I mentioned before, moving out mode, so I'm kind of taking stuff out of the way back of my closets and taking stuff out of the junk drawers of the kitchen, things like that. Just kind of making sure that I can get that all done and set up for a bit. It is October, so now that it's spooky month, there's a bit less time available than normal. A little scary. No, a little scary time-wise for me, but I'm working on it. I'm figuring it out. We will see if it ends up working out and working out well. I'm hoping. Oh man, am I hoping that things will end up being okay? Because it's trying to get an apartment right now. A lot of things are at full vacancy, which is not great either. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But that is still the hunt at the current moment. As for content creation, I'm doing all right. The firesides are keeping up. It's nice to do this. I appreciate I know that it's not the most viewed stuff, but I don't know. I like your guys' enjoyment of it, I suppose. Fireside is definitely one of those types of videos that it's just kind of off the cuff and you don't really know exactly what the whole purpose of it is, but it's mainly just for me to share myself. I think a lot of did any of you know of the other YouTuber? You might. Is I don't actually know his real name. Is it Schlatt? I think it's Schlatt. I kind of only know him as Big Guy. I really don't know. I don't know exactly what to call him, but I think he has a separate series about like a weekly Q&A video or something like that. And it's kind of it's the man behind the channel, and I kind of like that concept. Gives you a little bit of a inside look, and so that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this kind of video series, I suppose, if that makes any sense. Then again, the old Firesides were a lot different. They were almost like motivational. It's weird. I'm not as big on that particular type of thing as I am just on doing these off-the-cuff videos, so to speak. But that's nice. Channel-wise, things are good. Great response on the Destiny raid content. Not huge views or anything, but great response in terms of just people seeming like they liked it. It was actually kind of nice hearing the kind comments about like how the raid was done. I didn't think I did anything in particularly different than most raid people, but I guess I kind of took control a bit more depending on the raid. But it seemed that that's not a common thing for people to be very like excited with the raid and doing crazy stuff. So I'm just happy that it was good content. People seemed that they were proud of me for my raiding, for my first D2 raid. So it felt very, very good to have people be proud. So that was nice, and I was quite happy to hear that. As for the main channel, the video I am currently working on is going to be an Outer Wilds DLC review. The Outer Wilds review I made a bit ago is unironically one of my favorite videos I ever made, and the DLC is about as good as the base game. A little shorter, don't get me wrong, but about as good. It's pretty insane how good that DLC is. And it's also fucking horrifying. So, a bit of the in-between there. Really like it, though. Really excited to talk about it. It's been great. I haven't finished it yet. I'm currently streaming it at the moment, and once I am done streaming it, I will most likely be ready to get the video out, because I'm working on the script right now for the things that I'm so far figuring out. I like it. I like it a lot. If you haven't played Outer Wilds, please do, and don't watch the review if you do, because that game is best known when you get into it completely blind. Also, very fucking scary game. Also, just terrifying, very frightened, big spook, etc. So yeah, channel stuff has been going pretty well. Life stuff, I need a little bit more in terms of scheduling, I think. Between Adeptus Ridiculous, some family things, I'm a little bit tight sometimes on time. And I'm trying my best to get as much as I can out without problems, and get as much as I can done without problems. And it's a bit tougher than I thought, but that's what happens when you stream and have 2 YouTube channels. But I am getting a bit better at it, at managing time and managing just all that kind of stuff. I've often told a lot of you the strats that I have when it comes to working hard and working a lot. It tends to be, hey, what you need to do is take a block of time, turn off all social media, and don't have your phone, and work really hard in that block of time. That tends to help out quite a lot, but it does take a lot of like mental ability in order to get it done. It's tough to be able to do it in a decent period of time. Though I haven't done that in a bit, though I think diet's been helping me a lot more. I'm down 11 pounds since, I think, 3 months? A little less, maybe 2 months? Around a certain amount of time. I'm down a huge amount. Your boy is 6'3" and was 235 pounds. I am now 224. So I'm feeling pretty darn good. I am working out more though, so I do wonder, to what extent the loss of weight has been fat, but also gained in muscle. But I'm really pleased with that. Really pleased with that. That feels great. The calorie deficiency and all that, really nice. I definitely feel better about that. And then, naturally when you feel better that way, you kind of feel like you look better, and I feel a little bit skinnier, so I like that as well. I got a little bit less of that COVID gut, So really happy with that. For the last few months have kind of fucked me up in a lot of ways, between a breakup and then having to move out, and then a lot of other like channel stuff that I didn't really talk much about, but was it just really difficult to deal with at times. But I think it almost maybe was, I don't know if I'd say it was for the best in terms of some of those things, but I do feel a little bit more, how you say, not calm, but it kind of gave me a bit of a reality check that I think I needed. A little bit of a kind of a mental thing. I was like, all right, this whole deal, this whole situation is I need like an ego check. I think I was a little bit full of myself, and I was a little too hot on my own. I sniffing my own farts a little bit, to use a term my dad likes to use. And I think a lot of this was a bit humbling, and it kind of took me down a peg. I think in a good way. It also got me to start doing therapy, which was also good, and glad I had that, because that was definitely, I think, needed. And so, and also, you want to stay away from that damn, like, toxic masculinity thing where you immediately think that therapy and things like that are dumb, which obviously they are very much not. So that's nice. Unfortunately, of course, therapy is expensive, and everyone is booked up because that's what's been going on right now. So, I guess it really comes down to just a lot of like eye-opening situations for me, and I'm glad that I'm back to this situation where I can work a bit better, and work a bit smarter, and work less in a weird way. I feel like going to the apartment will be like the triple humbling, I think, because I don't know, the place I live in right now is nice. Like, it's really nice. It's enormous. The house is giant, and it's in a gated neighborhood with a bunch of hoity-toity shit, and like a private pool and all this crap, right? I live in a really hoity-toity ass neighborhood, and it's like a 3,500 square foot house, and it's just me. And I think I don't like it. And then that might sound like suffering from success and stuff like that, and it kind of is. But I'm starting to realize that I really, don't need this. And I almost don't want it. Like, I think I would much rather take a place that's way smaller. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe 18 to 2,200 square feet, which is still a decent enough sized place, don't get me wrong. But, like, I would rather have a yard. Like, I have no yard, basically. I have pretty much zero yard. And I want a goddamn yard. Or I want to live in a place where I can actually fuck around with my house, because I don't own this place. I'm just renting it right now. And I want to goddamn paint some rooms. I want to take a shovel to my backyard and make like a stream, or like a fun little river in my, or adjust my damn front yard and give it some really cool landscaping. I want to plant some trees. I want to grow tomatoes. I want to do things. Like, they keep on. I like a modern architecture. I like modern, but the modern architecture, I feel like, is more of a template, and people forget that. If you've ever seen those really fancy houses, right? And they're furnished with it's always marble and gold and dark wood, and it's all white and gray, and it's, that's like the modern look, but it's so lacking of character. People kind of use that as their way to think of a nice, pretty modern house, but in reality, it should be a template. Like, I like my modern places, I like it, But instead of it being like, that's just it, right? That right there is it is just that modern architecture. It should be, okay, here's the modern architecture, and then you add your posters, and you add your wall art, and you add your plants, and you add your color, and then you really get into it. Like right now, I think my favorite kind of architecture is this like dark gothic modern, like a bedroom with a very low bed, with like black walls and hanging lights and like black and some gold kind of color scheme and a little bit more of like a gothic vibe to it. You know, almost a little bit industrial, maybe not industrial, but maybe rustic, like rustic gothic. I don't know. Combined with modern, it's hard to describe, but I like that stuff a lot more. Like a bookshelf, things like that. I think it looks really, really nice. And just the empty ass modern areas is just not for me. And so obviously living in this area where all the houses are cookie cutter suburban California. I'm actually, and unfortunately I'm going to be eventually moving into an apartment that is going to look a lot like that, but the reason is because the utilities and stuff is really, really decent, and you know, it works out that way. But and after that, it shows that I'm looking for something a lot better. I'll be looking for something a lot more important, and looking for something a little bit more fun, a little bit more my style, and maybe my ability to express myself might increase my mood. Hoping. So we'll see. You know, we will certainly see. What else besides that? What else has been going on in this world, this life, the things happening? I don't really know. I'm a little bit like static, I think. I do feel a tad bit static right now just because I'm in this transitionary period. So these Fireside Brickies don't really have a whole lot to discuss, and I'm sorry about that. But I'm trying to think of things to talk about, and that's why I'd like it if you would ask me some questions in the comments section. I'd like to read some of these questions and kind of get some better ideas for things to talk about, or if you have any questions. Well, you know, I normally ask you all questions, like things like dishes, you know, food, stuff like that, and that kind of stuff it's one thing. But and the recommendations have been very nice, and I appreciate them. But like, you know, that's me asking a question. I would like it if you would ask me a couple questions, if you wouldn't mind, and allow me to find some topics during my transition between homes. Because at the moment, I do feel like I'm just kind of moving through the motions, and the moving through the motions part is one thing. Actually getting what I'd like done is another. So we'll see. We will see if there's anything fun that you guys can bring to my attention, and then we can have some more interesting conversations. So I apologize about that, but that's where I'm at right now. That's what I'm trying to go for. Just figuring things out. That's interesting. You know, that's a thing in its own right. You ever notice how people feel like they need to have things figured out at a younger and younger age? Like, I'm 26, and I don't necessarily have my stuff figured out. I'm doing well. You know, I'm doing well in my life. I do well financially and everything of that nature, but I don't think I have it figured out. You know? A lot of people feel that they need to have life figured out by like 21, 18, by the time they're an adult, quote unquote. As if they think that the people who are wealthy on Instagram are somehow role models. Like, I don't know almost a single person who had one job career path and stuck with it. I know of people who are constantly swapping and changing and adjusting their career paths. And the idea that you are forced to stick with something and you have to have it figured out at a certain point is kind of laughable. Like, you don't understand how many people don't have their stuff figured out and how it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like if YouTube goes away for me, I'm screwed. If Twitch goes away, I'm screwed. This is a major portion of my income. No, I'm not a major. This is my income. And I have to think of a contingency plan, which is kind of the reason why I want to buy a place after I move out of here, is so that that contingency plan is, well, so I have one. So I actually have something I can do. So even I don't, in a sense, have it figured out. My job is capitalize on as much as I can at this point in time, so that I'll be set for the future. And then when the YouTube world inevitably fails, because no one can do this forever, I'll be able to be set. That's my plan. That's my life. That's my hope. And even then, that's kind of almost to an extent a little bit of wishful thinking. You never know what'll happen in someone's world. You never know what crisis might occur. Who knows? Who knows what can happen? So that's the worry, that having things figured out and a need to have things figured out. Like there's a need for you to be fully responsible and prepared for everything and ready for everything, when you really don't need to be. Often everyone I know swaps jobs or changes career paths at some point, or sometimes they just don't know what they're doing, and to an extent that's fine. Like, for example, the people, my old roommates, the people who live in my old house, right? They're all my high school buddies. They're around my age. And they do various things. One of them draws art for a living. One of them works for his dad's retail company. I think that's what he does still. One of them works at like a Tesla dealership to help people buy cars. None of them really are going or went to college for very long. None of them have some higher level plans really ready, but they're just kind of living, and they don't seem like they mind it. Maybe they're thinking about it, they just don't tell me, but they seem like they're just chilling, and really they pay rent. They do well. They don't have to have some grandiose plan, way down the line. They don't have to have anything like that. Because if they did, that would make me kind of this hypocrite, where the assumption that working regular jobs is somehow unbecoming or unacceptable. That old like baby boomer concept that if you do nothing but work minimum wage your whole life, you've wasted your life. Now, I think having a goal above that is a good thing, and I would hopefully make it so that you get better than minimum wage just for your own sanity, because that you don't get much money for minimum wage, obviously, hence the term. But if your life goal is to be a janitor for your entire life, and you only want to be a janitor, then shit, all right, whatever. That's your deal. Social media makes it so that you gotta be wealthy by 20 something, and it's kind of rich coming from me, right? Because I'm the person who did do very well at 20 something. But I guess in a sense, take it from me that doing well at the 20 something really doesn't mean much. And this has been said to death, the whole money can't buy happiness thing. As someone who has had both money and had not money, I will say that that's half true. It's the idea of, it can deal with unhappiness. You can fix unhappiness. You can pay for bills or debt or problems. Things that are bad can be fixed with money. But after a certain point, after you make a certain amount, you start reaching the whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and after a certain amount, it just means nothing, and all you're doing is bloating the two bottom bars. You need people, you need friends, you need loved ones, you need camaraderie and a sense of belonging, and you need that way more than what a certain amount of dollar amount will do. In fact, sometimes I've found that it's actually worsened me, because you start to wonder who's your actual friends and who's just there for, because cash. And yeah, I mean, honestly, the concept that being successful by a certain age is somehow a measure of a person's worth is laughable. It's LA logic. And as take it from a native Californian who's lived here my entire life, fuck LA. I hate that damn city. Not just because of the traffic, but because of the mentality. And it's spreading. You know, I hear that that's actually a big problem in Korea, in Seoul. Like the whole, what's it called? The Gangman Street or whatever it's called. Where it's like a neighborhood specifically dedicated to the wealthy. And I hear a lot about this in a lot of Korean culture, where a lot of women, their whole concept is find a rich man and then marry him and then you'll be set. Which is why you want to spend your money on plastic surgery and like designer bags and stuff. And I'm obviously not trying to say the entire culture is like this, because I know that's not true. But I hear that it's kind of rampant in some of the major cities, and it's really upsetting because that's just not a good thing. It's really materialistic and bad. Because then when you lose that stuff, it reminds me of the horror movie Seven, crime horror, where one of the 7 deadly sin kills was pride, and the woman who was killed had her face disfigured and glued a bottle of pills and a phone to her hands. You could either call for help and be disfigured for the rest of your life, or you can take the pills and kill yourself. And she took the pills because she, didn't want to be disfigured for the rest of her life. And that was, that's kind of the thing, pride. It's the idea that the looks mattered more than living. Which is, I can't say that this isn't a lot of America's fault, because goddamn it is a lot of America's fault. They're constantly doing shit like this. They're constantly creating this feeling that your worth is tied to money and looks. And it's nasty. It really is. I'm super thankful for the people who perhaps don't have one or the other or either, and who are happy with themselves. They've truly conquered one of the world's biggest struggles, which is very good to hear, and good for them especially. I think I'm a fine enough looking guy. I think, I work out, I eat decent, I put on a face mask at night, and I'm obviously doing well cash wise. But when I was younger, oh man, was I not. I was a chubby, braces, acne covered nerd. And a lot of us were, but even so, the difference in feeling it's nice. It's nice to kind of have done better, and seeing the difference between those two lives to be lived, seeing the difference, it's something. So I'm happy. I'm almost happy for the experience. To an extent, I wouldn't say molded by suffering, so to speak, because suffering sounds a lot worse, but often being molded by experience, both good and bad, is very important. It's one of those things why on one hand, I don't feel like other content creators should struggle if they don't have to, but I do think that the struggle, the early grinding of this kind of job is a huge part of figuring out how to do it properly and knowing that you'll be able to make it. It's like a rite of proving, which is humorous because that's literally what I'm doing in Destiny right now. The rite of proving. I like the feeling that is something that's important, and it's something that you really want to get working on. Is okay, you need to understand the difficulties. Apparently the 16-year-old demographic, around 16 to 21, the number one wanted job is content creator, and my mind just goes, oh fucking god, no, please Lord, no, don't. If you want to be a content creator, I'm sorry, but I would like to say don't. I don't think it's a good idea. Not only due to saturation, but also you are vastly underestimating the time and mental health requirement that this needs. like vastly underestimating it. And then when you do, you might become one of those many people who, oh, I'm failing. Why am I failing? I don't know why. And then you beat yourself up like crazy. And it can get really bad. Please don't become a YouTuber. Please don't be a streamer. If you're gonna do it like a side. Do it after work. Please fix climate change, please, for the love of Christ. Save my life. Save my kids' lives. I'm not smart enough to do that. I'd appreciate it if you did. I see my job as a stress reliever from the normal work. From other people who have regular, completely fine, good jobs. And my job here is to give them something to look forward to, listen or watch when they get home or when they are tired. Or better yet, make it so that the time frame when they're doing their work gets a little bit easier. I'm on your AirPods while you're pushing carts, or you're doing accounting and then you gotta get, you got something on the side, or whatever the reason. You're on your break and you're eating lunch and you want something to listen to. Whatever it is, I see that as my big goal, my big assistance. And, well, hopefully it's helping. Anyway, there's a little, we were able to get this episode a little bit longer than before. Excellent. That's basically what I wanted to talk about. That's this episode of Fireside Bricky. Look out for that Outer Wilds video soon. Thank you for your support on the raid stuff. As for second channel content, I'm probably going to upload Outer Wilds playthrough as well, so look out for that. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this episode of Fireside Bricky, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.